X-Men to Spider-Man and every Avenger in between, are we starting to see signs Fox's X-Men and the MCU could finally join forces? Find out on today's Nerdist News. We've known for a while now that Fox's upcoming shows, Legion and their Untitled Mutant on the Run pilot, would somehow tie into the X-Men movie franchise. But the question until recently was, how closely? Would this be a legit continuation of the long-running film series, or were they just crying crossover to generate a little extra buzz? Well, put down those Cerebro helmets because we don't need to read Bryan Singer's mind to get our answer. It was confirmed at last week's New York Comic-Con that Charles Xavier would be referenced throughout Legion, and now there are even rumors circulating that Patrick Stewart may cameo as the good professor himself. So there you have it. The continuity is real, people. If Professor X is making house calls, then you know we must be deep in X-Men country. But if you think that's enough to satiate our thirst for cross-series continuity, then you don't know us very well. Legion's official place in the X-canon has got us asking questions about the X-Men's place in the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. Wait, what? X-Men? In the MCU? That's insanity, you shout. Has everyone at Nerdist lost their goddamn minds? Well, maybe. But that doesn't mean we're wrong. Sure, with all the bad blood between Marvel and Fox, an MCU XMen crossover may seem insane, but remember, most people who correctly predicted the future were originally considered insane. Yeah. That's our argument, and we're sticking to it. And we think Legion really may be our first glimpse into a better tomorrow where Captain America, Wolverine, and Spider-Man can all hold hands on the same movie screen and battle evil as a family. Our early evidence for this all comes from the head of Marvel TV, Jeff Loeb. Loeb loves telling people it's all connected, a tagline originally developed for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to remind viewers that everything that happens in the MCU, whether it's on the big screen or small screen, is in fact connected. Of course, since Marvel's TV side has expanded to include Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage over at Netflix, and now Legion at FX, the shows and movies have all seemed less and less intertwined. But when recently asked about the possibility of still bringing them all together, Loeb responded with a coy, "Stay tuned." He later elaborated on that in an interview with Screen Rant, where he explained, "There was definitely interest within Marvel, but it all came down to getting the different networks to play nice." Loeb included FX in that list of networks, and since we know that Legion is Marvel's only FX show and that it officially takes place in the X-Men universe, it can be deduced that, holy shit, we just heard someone at Marvel say, for the first time, they'd actually be interested in letting the MCU share some screen time with the X-Men. Now we know what you're thinking. Of course Marvel is interested, but the chances of Fox ever taking their claws off the X-Men are slim to none. Except, we bet you were saying that same thing about Sony and Spider-Man just a few years ago, and look where we are now. Spidey already swung his way home to the MCU in Civil War. All it took was a few less than amazing Spider-Man movies to convince Sony that it could be beneficial to share custody of the wall crawler with Kevin Feige and the rest of the folks over at Marvel. And after the disastrous performance of the most recent Fantastic Four, we could see a similar relationship develop with Fox. That fantastic flop left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and with no real word of a sequel, the rights would revert back to the House of Ideas unless Fox wanted to test the waters with the FF and Marvel, similar to the Sony deal. Still, you scream, how would that even work continuity-wise? The MCU and the X-Men universe don't fit together at all, to which we say, calm the down, ignoring the fact that at this point you could pretty much shove anything into the X-Men cinematic universe and it would make as much sense as anything that has already happened.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
There is a way to make it all work, and Marvel has already shown us how. You just have to think fourth dimensionally, and fifth dimensionally, and maybe sixth dimensionally. Really just think about a lot of dimensions. It's fine. Thanks to the very cool and very trippy IMAX preview of Doctor Strange we were all treated to earlier this week, we already know that Stephen Strange's journey towards superhero-dom will take him deep into the Marvel multiverse, and if the multiverse exists and characters can travel between them, that means anything is possible. In fact, there is already a precedent for this in the comics. As we saw in last year's big event, Secret Wars, all of the alternate realities, a la 2099, Ultimate Marvel, Age of Apocalypse, etc., were forced to battle each other until all of Marvel was brought together in a single main universe. Now look, we'll admit, Even after all of this pretend arguing with you, which has been fun, it still seems a little pie in the sky. There is definitely a ton of contract foo both teams would have to perform to make anything like this happen, and there is very little chance Fox would share properties like their surprise golden child Deadpool, but for those struggling franchises like Fantastic Four and Marvel TV now playing nice with Fox in a real-life X-Men show, we're gonna hold out hope. Thank you very much. At the end of the day, it just seems to make the most sense for the studios and the fans. But what do you guys think? Are you holding out hope? Which professor would you want to share screen time with the Avengers? Are you Team McAvoy or Stewart? Let's discuss. Join us over at Nerdist.com/Twitch today at 3 p.m. live while we talk about this and laugh at our favorite, most What the Friday worthy videos of the week on Nerdist News Talks Back What the Fridays edition. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to keep getting all your Nerdist news. Woo!